was there anything else you wanted to go over, Scott, before I get started?
No, absolutely not. Go, please.
Okay. Great. Well, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Before I do, we are going ahead and recording these so that if there's anyone that wasn't able to attend today, they can go back and they can take a look at it. So let me go ahead and get that started. And everybody can see my first slide okay?
Yes.
So as we're getting the recording going, I think it sounds like everyone has their lines muted already. We did have time for questions at the end, but since we're starting late, if there's something along the way that you really need to ask, go ahead. Otherwise, I'm going to
has the recording feature on.
Otherwise, I'm going to just keep going through it so that hopefully we'll have time to show you everything that we were going to show you today. So, again, my name is Jen Seidenworm. I'm product manager over here in snowy Denver. And because my colleagues, we have three of us in the product team, Simon Wilkinson, who I know many of you have heard before, give a webinar for the release. Both he and our other product manager, Kath Fitzgerald, are located in Australia. So because of proximity, I look after North America and EMEA. So that's why I'm giving you the presentation today. But I wanted you to know who I was in case issues come up that you would like to alert me to. My email address is just jennifer.seidenworm@pearson.com. So quickly, we'll talk about the general themes in 6.2, the new features. I'll do some demo, and we'll talk about what will be coming up next. Get this all in on PC or not. Okay, so the first thing I wanted to talk a little bit about, and I know Burnett mentioned it, was EQUELLA. I know that some of you are on there already and are familiar with it, but for those of you who aren't, EQUELLA is our feature request site that we launched, I believe, in March of this year, and it's been very successful. We're really excited about it. Right now we have over 172 global participants and over 200 ideas out there that are ready for you to take a look at and vote on as you see fit. It's a neat little tool where anyone can add their suggestions, their comments to other people's suggestions, any feedback you have for us as a product group about the product in general. And the way this works, you have a certain amount of votes that you can spend on any of the suggestions. And we go in and take a look at what's been voted on, what has the most votes, what's been voted on by the most number of people. And once we take a look at those items as major ideas, we also take a look at if we're planning to do an upgrade to a major area, say reporting or workflow. We can also take a look at all of the suggestions that fall under those categories. And it may be that there are some suggestions in there that are good that don't have as many votes, that we can go ahead and roll in with some of the things we're already doing. Another case in which we're able to pull things in that may not have the top votes are if there are, in our development cycle, we have a lot of large items that we're focusing on, as you'll see as I go through the presentation. But a lot of times we have a little bit of extra room to get more features in there. And this is a great tool for us to go back and see what would give us the biggest bang for our buck, the most impact to the most users across the board. So if you haven't signed up already, it's your.equella.com, and you can just give us a couple pieces of information and you can get started. So that being the case, we started off with talking a little bit about the EQUELLA features that we have rolled into 6.2. So these are have come from our client base. The first thing we'll talk about is diagnostics. We have a new diagnostics area that provides the ability to determine which group a user belongs to or which users belong to a certain group. We have changed date formats. The date formats are now configurable, not just to that relative date of, yesterday or last week or about a month, but now the exact date can be tied to your search results. We have changed the calendar wizard control to add flexibility to the date that you put in. You have the ability not just for month and date format as previously, but you can also do just the year, or you can do date, month, year. We've added the ability for HTML tags in the hierarchy topics and subtopics. I'll show you more about that. The HTML editor content restrictions. We have a button in the HTML editor to add EQUELLA content, and that we can restrict what content can be contributed through that HTML editor now. Animated thumbnails. In the last release, when we added the rotating images of the thumbnails, some people who had very large collections of images thought that that was a bit distracting. So we have the ability to turn that off easily. We also have added currently, when a license is about ready to expire, everyone using the system sees the messaging that that's going to happen. And instead of alerting everyone, we have the ability to enter email addresses for that notification instead of putting it on the site. And we also have some search enhancements. We've had a lot of feedback from customers on how the search, why certain search results are returned, and how that's determined. Is there any way that they can change how their search results are presented? So we've done some work in that area that I'll show you as well. Another key area of this release is accessibility. Is assessment, not accessibility. So we have added QTI functionality. We have the ability to support assessments in EQUELLA now. At this point, it's on a fairly basic level. It needs to be basic QTI, but we can support 5 different question types, and we have the ability to feed the score of a quiz back into a grade book if it's attached to an LMS. So I'll show you more about that. And LTI, Learning Tools Interoperability. That functionality is going to allow us to integrate with systems at a much easier level. We have a lot that we're going to be doing with LTI going forward, but just in the 6.2 release, we have the functionality for you to configure an external LTI tool to work with EQUELLA. You can launch that LTI tool from a link within a contribution. And you can also, as I mentioned, pass LIS parameters back to the gradebook system. We also have added what's called CDN support, and this is through Akamai. This helps us with one of our goals of moving EQUELLA toward the cloud and enhancing the technology that we're using to stay up with what's current. This will help us with the ability to replicate the cache of different resources all across the world. So it really is something we're looking for more stability, and there'll be more to come on this one as well. We also have added some enhancements to clustering for larger institutions that could be for hosted environments or self-hosted environments. Specifically here in Denver, we're doing a lot of testing right now to just determine the best way to set up all of these hosted environments into a clustered environment. And Zookeeper is going to add a lot more reliability and stability for clustered environments. We also have done a lot of work on storm tracking for this release. What we're doing is we're working with one of our sister Pearson companies, Icodian, and the work we've done has been based on a prototype that some of our consultants did for a Pearson group and a Pearson group's customer. Now, those have been working for a while, but we wanted to have the ability to allow storm tracking for anyone who wants it through any LMS. So we've added that to the product. Unfortunately, what we've run into is a case where, because we do have clients on this already, we have to do an awful lot of extended testing to make sure that this is ready for them to roll off of and for everyone else to use as well. So we've decided that instead of pushing this through and taking the chance that there may be a lot of bugs with it right off the bat, we've decided to do some additional testing on this and release this in a special release sometime the first half of the year when it's ready to go. So storm tracking is not in the initial 6.2 code base, but it is coming soon. Instead of talking about what's next, I'll go ahead and go to some demo. All right. The first thing I'll show you is that diagnostics area that we've built out. And the reason we called it diagnostics is that we do plan to extend this into other add other areas that might really apply to diagnosing what you're trying to find in EQUELLA. So the first thing I can do, if I go to view a group for a user, I'm going to select a user and I've looked at Joe. I'm going to select Joe, and it will show me the groups that she belongs to. I can do the same sort of thing for a user in a group. To find what users are in a group. This time I'm going to search for an EQUELLA group, and it shows me which users belong to that group. So just a real handy thing if you're trying to go in and figure out permissions and all of that, you can find out what's already set up. The next thing I will show you is the date format. Before I go into the setting, I'm going to show you what I'm referring to. So in search results, you'll see this line down here that says last updated 8 days ago. That's our relative date. And if you mouse over it, you'll see that the actual date comes up. So if you wanted it to show the other way around, you could go to settings and to display date format. And it's just a simple radio button change. I could switch it to an exact date format. And if I go back, you'll see that the actual date now shows. And if I mouse over it, then it's the relative date. Next thing I'll show you is the configurable calendar wizard control.
Sorry to interrupt you, Jennifer. There's a question in the chat. Would you like to take it now or later?
Let's see. Have we tested the CDN functionality in China? Not that I'm aware of. I can certainly look into that, Sally, and find out. But I know that most of our testing has been done in Australia and Sri Lanka. But I can find that out for you.
Thanks.
Sure. So if I go to a contribution where I have date set up, you'll see that currently I have a space for month and for date. But I can change that now if I want to by going to, I need to go to the admin console, which I usually have kicked off already, and I don't have it open. It'll be just a moment. All right, I'm going to go to collection definitions. I'm going to find my collection. I'm going to go to the wizard tab. And I'll find that valid date. Now you'll see over on the right side, we have the date format, and I also have radio buttons here where I could choose the year, or in this case, I'm going to choose date, month, year. I'm going to save that. And I go back in and contribute. Now when I select the valid dates, it gives me a full calendar. So instead of just having the month and year, now I have to select a specific date. Enter. All right, let's show you a little bit about the HTML tags. You'll notice the browse resources by format. Several of the tags look similar to the way they would today, just with plain text. But I've also added some bolding and some color to a couple of the short descriptions. So I'll show you how I did that. So I go into the admin console to hierarchy editor. I now have the types. If I go into documents, you'll see that it's just plain text that's entered like it was before. But for video, I went ahead and I added some HTML to bold and to add the color. So it's just that easy. You could put really any type of HTML you wanted in here. If you wanted to add pictures or any type of images or styling, you can certainly do that now. The other thing with the HTML editor is I'll go into contribute an item. We have a button to add an EQUELLA resource. You might be familiar with this if you use the HTML editor. This button right here is the one I'm referring to, the Insert EQUELLA Content. If I select that, I have the ability to contribute and to search from right within this frame. So if I searched, let's say teach, it pulls up a bunch of results that I can choose from. And I have the ability to look at which collections, searches, or repositories I want to use for this. This is the part that will be affected if you limit the collections or searches for the HTML editor. Let me show you where that functionality exists. So that's also in the admin console under collection definitions. Go to the wizard tab again. And in our HTML edit box, you'll find that we have a bunch of boxes down below. At the top it says, when selecting the Insert EQUELLA Content button from the HTML editor, allow access to. So the default is just open. We haven't restricted anything. If I want to restrict something, I click on the checkbox, and I can move certain items over to the side. And this is the box that I'm limiting it to. So I'm restricting it just to learning resources and to teaching resources. And actually, I'm going to take this one back out, and I'm going to do this one, just to make it a little clearer for the demonstration. The reason if there were dynamic collections, I would have them in here, but since there aren't any, I can't restrict it if it's blank. I could also restrict the advanced searches. And I could go ahead and restrict contribution to the following collection. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to select this button, but I'm not going to move anything over. And what I'm telling it is I want to restrict the contribution that I don't have any collections selected. So in this case, I'm not going to see that box for contributions show up when I go back into the HTML editor. Right.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go back out and back in just to make sure that the change took. All right. So now you'll see that contribute box is gone, and I still have a search box. I'm going to go ahead and search teach again, and we'll see what we're limited to. Let's see, I pulled over that e-reserve articles and the teaching resources for collections and that e-reserve advanced search. And that's all I have to choose from to contribute at this point, or to add at this point for the search. So that's the content restrictions. I'll also show you about turning off that animated thumbnail display. That would be, let me show you this, make sure you know what I'm referring to here. So here are the thumbnails that are animated and rotating through the different images. This has a number of different JPEGs attached, so it'll show images of each. If I want to turn those off, I can go, now notice I'm doing this through teaching resources. I'm just turning off one collection. So if I go to play, and I go to search results template, we have a checkbox to disable the thumbnails. I save that. And I go back into search. You'll notice that I have one of the items still rotating. I also have the same collection down here. This is the one that falls under teaching resources. If I go to learning resources, the thumbnails are still on. I go back to teaching resources, it's turned off. So it's pretty easy to do on the fly. I'll show you the search enhancements. I'm going to do first. I'll show you a little bit about what we have in here currently. So those of you who are familiar with the searching, you know that today this is pretty much how your search results look. If I go ahead and put in a search topic, I'll just say I'll show you. You'll see we've added a little box, a little line underneath what has previously been there called relevant. And what this line is telling us, it's a numeric factor that is giving us an idea of how relevant this item is to the search term I was searching. It's a way of getting an idea of the weight of each of the items returned. So you'll see we go from a 4.5 over here to a 0.042. A lot of it might have to do with the fact that teach is in my title. So I do have a strong emphasis on title at this point. Otherwise, this teach could be in the metadata, or it could be in the attachment. At this point, I wouldn't know, except that now we have a line that we've also added to our search results if the keywords were found in the attachment content. We've had a lot of confusion about whether attachments are used in searching, whether they're not, do they have to be. So now we've added that little flag to let you know that, yes, the reason this result came up was that it was found in the attachment. Now, there's a quick way on an individual basis if you don't want to search those attachments, and that is under Screen Options. There's a little checkbox that says Search Attachments. If I take that off, you'll see it automatically researched, and it just provided me with the one that didn't have anything, that had the topic not in the search results. In the attachment. So you can do this at an individual level, right here, or you can do it at an institution level. And if I go into let's see, one for searching. One place. If you go to settings and go to searching and content indexing, we'll see we have a new section in this area as well that's called Searching Terms Boost. And what the boost refers to is the emphasis that you want to put on each of these categories. So the default is that title is most heavily weighted, which is what currently exists in EQUELLA. There's not, all the other metadata is at an even keel, and then the attachment content was at half. Now, you can change these all around. I can turn off the searching for the title. It's just a slide control. I could turn it off. I could boost it all the way up to 8 times an 8 times of the search. I could also do that with the other metadata and with the attachment content. Now, just as a reminder, if a field is turned off, it's not going to be searched. So if I didn't want attachments searched in any case, not just on an individual level, but on an institution level, I could slide it to off here. But otherwise, this is something that some of you may want to play around with and see if it makes sense to what you're trying to do. Some of the clients we have that are in the research field felt that they really wanted to alter the way their searches were done. So this is an option. So I think what we'll do is show you a little bit about QTI. And I will do, let's pull up one of the ones that we have already in here. So these are the QTI packages that we've uploaded into the system. You can do that just in a contribution upload. I think I'll show you a little bit about, this is kind of a fun one. The reason I chose this one is that we've got, our developers made this one up, so it's kind of EQUELLA centric, and it's got feedback in it that not all of the quizzes do. So show you that functionality. So this package has been imported. We're playing it directly as it is. We don't currently have editing and authoring capabilities within the system. So as long as it imports, this is how it'll come up. This can be shown through your LMS. It can be shown in EQUELLA. So we have the option of selecting multiple answers. We can have a single multiple choice. We can do a fill in the blank with different options. We can do true, false. And another fill in the blank type. I could go ahead, there's also options to do a survey. You could, there's more multiple choice in here. So it's across the board. We do have another fill in the blank. So like I mentioned, just 5 question types are supported at this point, but as I'll mention in a few minutes, that we are planning to expand that in the following release. So I'm going to just submit this test, even though I haven't completed it. And it's going to give me the scores. I have separate scores for each section, the way this quiz is set up, as well as the total score. And the score is a percentage-based score. It's just numeric. We're not passing actual grades, just the score itself. And if I go in, one of the things I meant to show you as I was going along is this bar here on the side. It keeps track of which questions I have answered. And if I'm going to a question, you'll see there's like a faded blue line, which indicates that's the question I'm on. So if I look at some of the questions that I did answer before I submitted the quiz, it gives me the feedback of what I selected. And in this case, there was feedback entered from the person who set up the quiz. He told me, yes, that one was correct. It can enter any kind of text you want to make it fun, or it can provide actual feedback. And, in this case, it's giving me the feedback that, correct and what the actual answer is. So that's QTI. I'm very excited, and a lot of people have been waiting for that functionality. We also have LTI, which is our way of linking to outside content. Show you one that we have set up in here already. This is our book finder. Click on it. It actually takes me out to this bookfinder site in a separate window. So that is the ease of LTI. Once I have it set up, I can go in and use it on the fly, can contribute it, one place, numerous places, with just one setting. To set it up, we have our LTI. That's not where I meant to. We do have this LTI role mapping section. And I was going to show you the area in settings that is for external tool providers. I need to go to external, not to LTI. And this is how Bookfinder was set up. This is a very basic one. You just need to enter the title, enter the base URL, and if this were, say, a provisioned agreement, or it was another, paid link that you needed to put in customer key, shared secret, and custom parameters, there are these fields available for that. There's the ability to put in an icon. We've put in this icon with the URL where that is linked. And you'll see at the bottom, there are also privacy options. So if you wanted to share the launcher's name and email address with the tool that you're linking to, you could, but this is defaulted to off so that information is not shared at this point. And there are all kinds of LTI tools out there you can link to. There's a site called greatltitools.org that has a whole list to check out if you are interested in seeing how this functionality works. The other thing that this will provide for us using LTI is the ability to interface with LMSs and other partners that we want to use going forward. LTI is a really smooth, easy link to be able to do that. One other thing I was going to show you before I go back to the slides. We also, at the bottom of the profile on an individual level, we also have that ability to change how a date is displayed for the user. So the default would be for whatever the institution is using, but we also have the ability for the user to go in and say, I would really, our institution looks at relative dates, but I would like to look at exact date. So that is there as well. Are there any questions about what's in 6.2 that you wanted to address before I talk a little bit about what we're going to be doing going forward? If not, that's fine. We can have some question time at the end. So going forward, what's next for EQUELLA? One of the things that we're really focusing on is, as I mentioned, keeping up with the technology and really doing innovative new things for our customers. And one of the areas that we are heavily researching and jumping into is cloud-based systems. We have developed an internal cloud that we're using currently and are looking to move OER content to. And one of the key areas we want to look at first is developing a type of cloud search so that it's easy for you to access some of the other repositories. One of the ways in which one of the things that will be really great about getting OER out in the cloud would be for harvesting, that we could really keep that information up to date, and as soon as things are changed, it'll appear in the system that way. Some of the other real benefits of cloud are in the way EQUELLA institutions could interface with each other. I think many of you might be familiar with our content exchange that we developed a couple of releases ago, and having the ability to interface with each other better, with your LMS better, with other systems is really a key focus for us. Some of the other things we're looking at doing, we have had quite a bit of interest in changing the way reporting is done in EQUELLA. And we've recently done a series of focus groups around reporting. We're starting to really ramp up focus groups as a great feedback mechanism for us to sit down with you and find out what your needs are and how we can be developing resources better for in a certain area. And reporting is one of the ones we've started with. If you are interested in upcoming focus groups, please let me know. And one of the ways in which we're building the user groups around the focus groups are what's been contributed in your EQUELLA and what's been commented on. So if you voice your needs in your EQUELLA and this turns out to be a topic that we want to research more, we may very well reach out to you and see if you want to get involved in talking with us more about the subject. So SEER is it's actually a Pearson application that we're putting into EQUELLA for, it should be going in 6.3, but all of these 6.3 items, since development hasn't started, this might be 6.3, it might be 6.4. We have a huge backlog of items that we're trying to get in the upcoming releases, so no promise of which one quite yet. But SEER gives us the ability to track user activity in the system, and that can be very helpful for reporting, being able to feed back information that isn't necessarily in the database or that we can put in the database in a much easier way for you to pull and analyze. So SEER also has a partner app that is called SubHub, which tracks eventing. So we can also see using that to be able to do reporting off system maintenance, what's going on with your individual EQUELLA application. But, you'll notice the line in here, this will be switched off by default. This is not something that we're going to be forcing you into using and a way of gathering data. This will be an option if you would like to start venturing into the new reporting areas that we'll be working on. Then one other area that we're really looking to enhance are our APIs. Talked before about the fact that we really know that the admin console needs a big rework, and we want to get away from the reliance of Java on that. So with this next release, 6.3, we are starting to tackle that. We originally planned to have the admin console gone during 6.3, but it is such a big undertaking that we would have to devote an entire release to it if we were going to do that. So we are breaking it up into a couple of steps along the way, but we will be moving certain features out of the admin console in 6.3 and on. Reporting, I already kind of mentioned that, but we are building reporting APIs to also help access error logs and tables differently than we do today. The other area that is a big concern with our users, we know, is our user experience. And we are having discussions right now about ways in which we can update the look and the feel and the ease of use of EQUELLA. If you have thoughts on that, or if you would like to be involved in focus groups concerning user experience, by all means, let me know as well. one of the places we'll be starting with that is whatever we move out of the admin console. But, we eventually would like to move to the place where EQUELLA is very customizable. So you can easily make EQUELLA look and feel like you want to as an institution. And authoring. We still are not bringing authoring directly in EQUELLA, but we want to build out the APIs so that we can integrate with lots of common authoring tools with ease. And just to summarize and see what else I haven't discussed, we talked about cloud search, reporting. Workflow is another key area that's developed from your EQUELLA. That there are a lot of areas of workflow that we would like to address. We have done some focus groups on that one already, and we'll continue to do so, but we'd like to start getting some of the first ideas for workflow in the next release if possible. There's the user experience enhancements, and of course we will be taking as many your EQUELLA features to fit into 6.3 and on as possible. We'll be making some new changes to the integration screen, not a total not a total makeover, but we will be making some enhancements to the work that we did in the last release. Talked about SEER and SubPub. We're also looking at integrations with some other LMSs. Canvas is one that has been highly discussed with us. D2L has been mentioned. And we're also looking at enhancing the integration we have with Kaltura. They've just come out with a new platform that they're calling CAF that's very slick, and I think it will really enhance the experience for those of you who use Kaltura.
Jen, while you're talking about that, there was a question from Sally. Says, I think she was referring to maybe the cloud hosting diagram. She says, interesting you have streaming media servers in the diagram. Is that referring to your Kaltura integration or something else? I was going to reply back in the chat to say I assume that is this kind of generic media servers. It's not necessarily restricted to Kaltura. Although, as you just stated, we have kind of more of a seamless integration with Kaltura over just standard media servers, where it's more of a push-pull rather than just pulling content from there. But I don't know, Jen, if you have anything else to say, or maybe I've got it correct.
Yes, absolutely. Kaltura, of course, is our big focus, since we do have an integration with them and are looking to build upon that partnership for an even tighter integration. But we have the ability with LTI to interface with a lot of others as well. And some may be the ones that you can interface with directly due to LTI. Others may be ones that do need integration, and if there are any specific ones you're looking at that you'd like us to take a look at for the product, putting that in your EQUELLA is great. Then we can get an idea of how much demand there is for us to focus on that. So, yeah, Kaltura and more. Another focus area is copyright and licensing. We have a lot of CAL functionality requirements in Australia in particular, but we have a lot of license management type of work that we can do to upgrade our system as well. Assessment, we talked about SCORM and the basic QTI, but we do plan to keep enhancing QTI in the upcoming releases, building out more question types. We want to add the ability to do timed quizzes and just a little bit more flexibility around the management of these packages in the system. The removal of Java, mentioned taking out the admin console and moving those elements into a better user-friendly environment. We're also building out our REST the rest of our APIs and extending our authoring APIs, and we're even looking at whether tin can functionality makes sense as well. So a lot of ways in which we can interface with other systems and which would allow you greater flexibility and functionality with EQUELLA.
Jen, there's another question about, is there a watermark planned for documents hosted on EQUELLA? I believe we can maybe do that to some extent already. I'm not sure if you can help with that or not. We might need to get some more information on that.
Yeah, I could use that. I know there has been mention of it. Are you talking about an actual, just having the ability to watermark it, or are you talking about a actual program that would do that and interface with EQUELLA?
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's from Rolf on the chat window. So, yeah, we maybe need to get some more details for you on that, Rolf.
Yeah, absolutely.
Unless you, yeah.
So, any other questions? I think we still have. Well, we're over the time, but we can still stick around and answer any questions you come up with.
So there's a question from Steve. Streaming server is very important in the mix. Our users are busy uploading to our media site server, and we need to find a way to integrate with EQUELLA.
Steve, do you think LTI will help with that? If your media site server is LTI compliant, that might be a good thing to look into. With this LTI integration, it provides the ability for a connection both ways now. Before we could provide data out but not bring it back in, and now we have the flexibility to do both. So we're fully LTI compliant. Make plans to integrate with Helix streaming servers. Not Helix in particular. That would be another great one to put in your EQUELLA to see if others are looking at Helix as well. And if that's the case, by all means, we can look into that one.